Hey everyone, it's Josh with Ramsland Fitness, and today I'm going to teach you how to write a basic exercise program. So of course, the first step to any workout program is knowing exactly what the goal is. Are we trying to build muscle? Are we trying to lose fat? Are we trying to improve performance or athleticism? Or are you just trying to get out of pain? Well, believe it or not, as a beginner, all of those, while individual goals, they might not look that different in the beginning process of working out. Honestly, all you need in the beginning is to set foot in the gym and lift weights. But the problem with this is a lot of people don't know where to start. Every rep range, rest period, and weight range all depends on that specific goal. And if we don't have a goal for each one of those steps, then we're just doing random things in the gym and not really accomplishing anything toward our future goals. Step 2, assess your starting point. A lot of where you're going to begin depends on your training history, your injuries or limitations, as well as your schedule and the available equipment that you have for exercising. Number 3, decide your training split. This sets the foundation for your goals. How many days a week do you have to work out? That's what the split is. Do you have 2, 3, 4 days a week to work out? Maybe you have more. Honestly, as a beginner, you really don't need any more than 4 days because then you're pushing your recovery capacity. So decide, once you have assessed where you are and decided where your goals are and what you want to accomplish, then you have to decide from there how many days a week you have available to train. Number 4, decide your compound lifts. Now, a compound lift is a movement such as the bench press that works several muscle groups each movement. So, squats, deadlifts, bench press, all of these are going to be foundational compound exercises that hit several major muscle groups, including minor muscle groups as well, but we'll kind of get into that as we talk about the accessory lifts. The compound movements are really important though, because whatever your goal is, again, whether it comes to strength training, muscle building, which often coincide in the beginning, or performance lifts, this is going to be the main carryover to those goals. If you're trying to train for Olympic lifting, you might want to practice your snatches. But if you're a beginner, you might not know how to do that. So you need to pick different accessories to train you on this specific compound movement. But if it's something simple like building muscle or just overall strength and athleticism, you might want to just start with the basics such as the bench press, which we'll get into right over here at the board. Number 5, which is just as important as number 4, is pick your accessories. Now these are for the minor muscle groups such as the triceps, biceps, rear delts, and so on. These are a lot of your support muscles. These keep your joints healthy and they will help to take your major muscle groups to the next level. Have you ever known somebody who's trying to get good at the bench press and all they do is bench press? They're probably missing a couple things, accessories being one of them. So it's really important to decide not only your compound lifts, but your accessories as well. Last but not least, decide your block. Now, you have decided that you're going to train 4 days a week. This is just an example. How many weeks do you want to train those same muscle groups, those same movements, sets, reps, rest times, etc.? This is really important because you're going to need a deload. Now, as a beginner, you're not going to need a deload nearly as much as an expert will. But in the beginning, you might want to switch it up for sake of novelty, which again, we'll get to here shortly. But in the beginning, what you want to decide is your essential compound movements, accessory movements, sets, reps, break times, and then pick a block. I would recommend picking a 4-week block. And the reason being is after those 4 weeks of repetitive movements, then you're ready to improve not only your weight, but your reps, your sets, and your break times as well. This is basic progressive overload. And I always recommend for a beginner to try out a 4-week block rather than an 8 to 12-week block because you might be surprised how fast you improve. So without further ado, let's get into a basic exercise program. So here I've written a 4-week upper and lower body as well as core training split. Now, as you can see, I have different days written for each upper and lower body split, but that is obviously all up to you. You don't have to necessarily start with upper body. You could start with lower body. Honestly, it might be wise considering International Chest Day is on Monday. So while everybody in the gym is doing chest day, you could be doing leg day. Something to think about. But just for sake of example, day 1 begins with a bench press. Now I have there 3 sets of 5 to 8. This is because it's a compound movement, and it's really important, especially as a beginner trying to build muscle in the pectorals, to start with the technique. You don't have to try and push an enormous amount of weight in order to make this a successful lift. Start learning the technique. Honestly, as you get stronger, it's a very attractive movement. So as you get into it and as you can move more weight, you're going to see you're not going to be able to lift as much weight for 10 plus reps, like 10 to 12, maybe 15 reps, than you would for 5 to 8 reps. There's a lot of studies that show that you can build just as much muscle, if not more, in the 5 to 8 rep range doing a compound movement than you can 10 to 15 reps. So you might as well do more weight. The next movement on the list is the lat pull down. Now, I have here 3 sets of 10 to 12. Now again, you're going to see a lot of sets and reps. These are not set in stone reps. Now you could do 12 to 15 on these, but again, for some of the bigger exercise groups like lat pull downs where you could put on a bit more weight, then it's better to start in the lower or mid rep range. So you won't necessarily want to do lat pull downs for 5 to 8, because chances are you're going to have to put on quite a bit of weight to fail or at least struggle around 5 to 8 reps, and then your form might not be all that great. Instead, try the mid range so that you're targeting mostly your lats. Now, what you're going to notice about lat pull downs is the back is a weird muscle group. You're not going to feel it right away. It honestly takes months to feel it directly in your lats. And this is because the smaller muscle groups get involved, such as your forearms, your biceps, and there are simple ways to correct those. I mean, just doing basic, like good form is a start. But that being said, in the 12 to 15 rep range, those smaller muscle groups are really going to start to feel it. So that's why I've decided on that 10 to 12 rep range there. Then we have the low row. And again, what you want to do with back exercises, you'll see that I have for this particular split more heavy back exercises than I do chest exercises, and I'll explain why here in a second. But lat pull down and low row. This is different because while lat pull down requires you to pull down, rows you're pulling toward you. This is hitting different aspects of your back. The low row hits a lot of that mid back and gives you a much fuller back, whereas lat pull downs, they will get you a thick back per se, but also they will get you a wider back. Now both of these do the same thing as far as what they're hitting, but it's really important to target different aspects of your back, and that's why I have low rows immediately after lat pull downs. The next exercise I have is front raise and lateral raises. So this is a really good way to incorporate some supersets. So you can do front raise and then immediately into lat raise as soon as the front raise is done, because while the front raise engages your front head of your deltoids, the lateral raises target your lateral delts. And these are the bigger part of your shoulders, so you definitely don't want to neglect these. I see a lot of people, they miss out on their shoulders, on the size of their shoulders, because they're skipping a lot of lateral movements. The lateral heads are the bigger part of your shoulders. You do not want to skip these. So if you're doing upper body twice a week, definitely do lateral movements for your lateral delts twice a week. The next is good old-fashioned push-ups. Now I have written here 3 sets of 10 to 12 because, or 3 sets of 10 plus rather, because people are going to be different. There's a lot of people that are just naturally good at push-ups, and there's a lot of people who are naturally not good at push-ups. But everybody should be doing them, because you should be really good at, as my coach puts it, moving through your own space. All of the spaces that you're moving here are alternative spaces, and you're lifting weights. You should be really good at maneuvering your own body weight as well, and this will even help with things like the bench press, growing your shoulders. It's a very important exercise to do. It's not necessary, but it is going to help push your chest game that much further. I feel like I should also mention the reason why you don't see arms on here, or biceps and triceps, is because in the beginning stages, a lot of these compound movements are going to provide a lot of carryover to your biceps and triceps. So for example, bench press, that's going to hit the triceps pretty hard. And obviously anybody who's done quite a bit of push-ups can attest to their tricep pump afterwards. And same thing with lat pull downs and low rows. For the beginning portion of your split as a beginner, you're definitely going to have quite the bicep workout doing these back workouts. So if you don't believe me and you're a beginner, just give it a try. And if you think you need a little bit more, we could definitely add some. But that's why you don't see biceps and triceps on here, because honestly, as a beginner, you're not really going to need them. Moving on to lower body and core. I have on day one, the first thing is going to be goblet squats. Now, I would recommend doing heel elevated goblet squats just to take your knees out of the picture and make it even more quad dominant. Trust me on that one. Goblet squats are going to be your starting point, as opposed to things such as barbell squats, which require a whole lot of technique. You have to decide if you are a high bar or low bar squatter. So goblet squats are a more front-loaded squat with a dumbbell. And I have here 3 sets of 12 reps. You can obviously do a little bit more. Really, you can play around with any sort of rep range right here. But what you're going to notice is if you're holding a dumbbell out in front of you as a beginner, it's fine. You're going to get a really good leg workout. But as you advance, this workout doesn't necessarily become obsolete. But if you require like a 70-pound, 80-pound dumbbell, at that point, you might as well do front squats or Zercher squats with something with a bit more load that isn't as shoulder heavy. But in the beginning, this is a very appropriate workout and a great way to learn regular squats as well. Next is going to be leg extensions, so another quad-focused exercise. And I have here 3 sets of 12 to 15. Now this one, I should have put a plus beside. So I'd make note of that just because you can definitely do more on extensions and even curls. I'll get to curls here in a second. But obviously this is a more quad dominant workout, and this is an accessory leg workout. This provides you with a good opportunity to hammer the quads, and the higher the rep range, the better. I have 12 to 15 because just like everything else in this block, I want you to master the technique. Now, leg extensions are obviously not going to be as harmful compared to something like RDLs, goblet squats, or anything like that, just because it's such a strict movement. And leg extensions obviously require the leg extension machine, so it's kind of in a fixed plane, so you really don't have a choice but to do good form. Now, I'll say that when you do them, you should always focus your ankle up. A lot of people just kind of focus their ankle down, or they just let them dangle, but you'll really get the most bang for your buck in this movement by fixing your ankles in an upright position. A very good way to target just the quads. Now the next one here, I really debated on putting on the board just because it's not often that you see this in a beginner workout, but I feel like everybody should do some form of deadlifting. It's such a necessary and foundational movement, and we have to do it in our daily life. If you drop your wallet, guess what? You have to hinge and a little bit of squat to pick it up, but everybody just kind of slumps over and practices that movement throughout their entire life, and they wonder why they have back problems. If you not only do the Romanian deadlift, which by the way is what RDL stands for, Romanian deadlift, if you not only do the Romanian deadlifts for your hamstrings and your posterior chain, but you do it for posture, then this is going to provide so much carryover to real life, and you will just instinctively pick up things the right way. You'll learn to brace better. You'll learn to use your hips more instead of just your lower back and bending at your lumbar. It's such a great foundational movement that if if you don't do it right, I'll say this: practice without even using dumbbells. You can use a band, just hold it there, put them under your feet, and use a little bit of resistance to get that movement down. Find out ways where you can get better in the hinge position that can get you increasingly better at this movement. It's such a good movement, and it targets so many posterior chain muscle groups, including your core, because you are forced to brace. Again, I'm talking some advanced techniques here, but I am convinced that this should be on your beginner block. So I have here 3 sets of 10 to 12. Again, I really debated on even putting 3 sets of 8 to 12, 8 being the preferred number, just so you can do it nice and slow, have some supervision when you're doing it, have a camera when you're doing it, and really try to pick people's brain off of whether you're doing this right. Because if you learn how to do a Romanian deadlift where you're not using a barbell, but you're using something light, even if it's nothing, even if you don't have anything in your hands, just practicing that hinge movement, this is going to set you on a really good course to be a fantastic lifter. Now, I have here as a superset option, you obviously don't have to do any of these as supersets, but I have calf raises here for 3 sets of 15. Again, something I should have put a plus beside, but I'm convinced that if you do these things as a set number and you take advantage of the tempo the right way, and you see a number, I want to get here and I want to struggle to get there. You don't want to just get to that number and say, oh, well, that was easy. I can't wait to do the rest of the two because it really wasn't a challenge. Each number, each end number there, you should be working hard to get towards. So 3 sets of 15, really focus on that eccentric, that down portion, which is going to provide a great stretch to blow up your calves. I have RDLs right next to calf raises because honestly, they really don't have much to do with each other. And if you're in a pinch as far as time, then you could superset these just because both are a little bit more. They don't take super long unless, again, you're just really analyzing your posture. Fantastic opportunity to do a superset in. Last but not least, I have planks for 3 sets of 20 seconds. Now, again, kind of like push-ups, depending on where you stand with this kind of body weight stuff, the exercises, you can push it a bit more than 20 seconds. But the goal here is to just to set a marker for yourself. When you're in the beginning stages of something like planks, push-ups, anything on this board, you're really trying to set a foundational aspect of where you are as an athlete, as a lifter, as somebody who is a novice in the gym. So even if planks are too easy for you, it's still good to just set a really low bar and consistently push it. Because this isn't necessarily something that you need to do at the gym. You can do planks at home, or you can do them right after your leg workout. Now, something that's interesting is when you do it on your lower body day, which again, I want to emphasize, you don't have to do core on lower body day. You can do it on upper body day. That's kind of a variable there that you can play around with, but you can move that one anywhere on this board. You can even do core every day. But again, we're trying to create consistency here more than anything as well. So set yourself a good marker. You can do 3 sets of 30 seconds. That's fine. But just make sure that you can do it. Because if you make planks miserable, any kind of core workout miserable, then you're just not going to want to do it. And you're going to skip core every time and become that lifter who never hits core directly. You have to make sure to hit core. Not just because of a six-pack, which, by the way, planks are not going to get you. That's in the kitchen, which maybe we'll talk about that in future episodes. But planks set a great foundation for you as a lifter because once your core is in good shape, everything else is going to be easier. Planks tie in very well with RDLs because a ton of core is wrapped around RDLs. So, something to consider, but don't be the athlete that skips his core day. All right, now that I've way over explained some of these simple workouts, we kind of have the foundation set, so we should be able to fly through some of these pretty quickly. But day 2 on upper body day is incline dumbbell press. Now, you could do bench again, But it might be good to consider something to do with chest that is higher in volume or higher in workload. So that's why you see 3 sets of 8 to 12. Really, you can do 3 sets of 12 to 15 as a beginner with lighter dumbbells. But again, you might as well get a better stimulus by getting something at a medium heavy weight. So not something to where if you're a beginner and you could really handle 3 sets of 8 to 12 with 25 pounds, instead of doing like 5 to 8 with 40 pounds and feeling it all in your shoulders, a little bit in your elbow, because it's too early to push yourself in that kind of way. You get the 25s and then you do 8 to 12. You control the eccentric on the way down, you control on the way up, and you really try to feel out the movement. This is an excellent choice for that. I should also mention that this bench press right here is referring to flat bench. A lot of, especially guys, want to get really good at this movement. I can't say I blame them. It's a very foundational movement, both for strength and muscle building for the pectorals. But incline dumbbell press is going to hit more of your upper chest, which guy, girl, you need to definitely hit your upper chest to set a very good foundational movement for your overall body composition. Inverted rows. Now, I have this here because even if you are naturally inclined to be good at something like pull-ups, just like push-ups, it pull-ups are significantly harder than push-ups. And I really don't have time to go into why, but I mean, think about it. You have 2 points of leverage. You have your hands and your feet that are helping you with push-ups. Whereas whenever you are doing pull-ups, gravity is taking you down and you just have 1 point of leverage, and that's your hands, right? So you got hands and feet that are helping you with push-ups. That just automatically makes it easier. There's so many other reasons why, but inverted rows are a really good way to help you to become better at pull-ups so that they're just kind of second nature by the time you implement them for your future exercises. Very beginner workout, a very beginner friendly workout, but 3 sets of 10 to 12. And when you do these, I would recommend squeezing at the top just to get that bonus bicep pump in there as well. Next, we have dumbbell rows. So again, you have a movement to where you are pulling yourself up, and then you have a movement to where you're pulling something else up. Different way of hitting your back. Again, one is targeting, really, when you do inverted rows, you're going to feel it a lot in your upper traps. It is hitting all of your back because all of your back has to pull you up, just like all of your back has to pull up a dumbbell. But this is an isolated workout, meaning you do one arm at a time, and it really sets this workout apart from a whole lot of other workouts, especially the ones that I've listed, because you have an opportunity to focus on one side of your body at a time. So really try to eke out that stretch at the bottom, come up in a controlled way. You don't have to throw your arm up and your elbow way past your body, but really try to focus on that twist and stretch on the way down. It's a fantastic choice for a back workout. Then we have dumbbell press and face pulls. Now, there are a couple more rear delt workouts that you can select, but I chose face pull because it's a really good way to target both your rear delts and your traps. A lot of people have underdeveloped traps along with rear delts just because they never hit that section of their body. If you're a beginner, it makes sense. Dumbbell press, this one is a lot of fun because it's a really good way to make it a little bit heavier. But I decided to put 3 sets of 12 to 15, a little bit more on the higher rep range side, so that you can take advantage of that pump. It's not necessarily like incline dumbbell press where it's the beginning workout and you can go a bit heavier. By this time, you might be a little gassed. So select lighter dumbbells. Really, again, try to focus on that down, right? Not necessarily up. A lot of people, they'll go slow on the way up and then they'll just drop it. This is a poor way of exercising because not only are you not taking advantage of the most anabolic stretch, which again is the eccentric, that stretch portion, but you're also risking injury on some of those joints. It's again, you see that slash, another great opportunity to involve a superset. If you're in a pinch for time, superset it with face pull because now you're working contradictory muscle groups. If you do your front delts, it's not going to necessarily impede with your rear delts and traps. Now, your traps might be a little sore from the inverted rows and the dumbbell press, but you really shouldn't be squeezing that much all together with a dumbbell press anyway. Try to set your shoulders back, and again, the dumbbell should be light enough to where you are controlling on the way up and on the way down. Go right into cable face pulls. Next, we have incline push-ups. Really don't need to go into that much explanation for this, but it is a fantastic chest finisher because this is a day, especially being day 2, where you might feel pretty gassed. So obviously, incline push-ups offer a little bit more assistance than if you were to just do them straight on the ground. That's a really good way, especially depending on where you set your hands, to focus on your lower chest. So bench and then regular push-ups, you've kind of set the foundation for where you're going to feel it in your chest. And day 2 is a bit more specific because incline dumbbell press hits more of your upper chest, whereas incline push-ups, I would recommend setting your hands a little bit lower and a little bit wider so that you can focus on that squeeze and your lower chest as well. Now, again, I don't want you to get wrapped up in extremes. Just because it's incline that hits upper and incline push-ups that hit the lower chest, and same thing with bench and regular push-ups, this does not mean that they're just going to hit like certain strips of your chest. I know that we look at certain videos and they say, here's how you target just your upper chest, and then it's almost like we visualize a strip there. Don't do that because it's going to hit your entire chest. It's just going to be a bit more focused on a certain section of your chest. Hope that makes sense. All right, so day 2 of lower body, we have barbell sit to stand squats. Now, I know we talked a little bit about the technique that's required for regular barbell squats, but in this case, you could start to work on that technique with a barbell. And it's a lot easier to do if you start either on a bench, like sitting on a bench, or on a box. And these are often called box squats, but just to kind of help you to visualize how the movement goes, I have barbell sit to stand squats, kind of interchangeable there. But 3 sets of 5 to 8, very similar to how I've programmed bench for you. Just again, so that you could focus on that technique, really get a feel for where you like the bar. For example, if the bar is set higher, you're a high bar squatter, it's sitting right on your traps there. This might not be the most comfortable. A lot of people complain about that it sits right here on your cervical bone. So you could get one of those pads that helps cushion. You also might be made fun of if you use it. But don't worry about that. You do what you can as a beginner. But if you wear it a little bit higher on your traps, you're considered a high bar squatter, and it's going to hit more of your quads. Whereas if you are a low bar squatter and you set it more against your traps, around the rear delt area, and you lean a bit forward, that's going to recruit more overall posterior chain. So you're going to feel it in your quads for sure. But you also hit a bit more glutes, hamstring, and again, as a beginner, you might even feel some of this comparatively. So play around with that. Decide for yourself if you are a high bar, low bar squatter, and you don't even have to give yourself a label because there could be days where you might want to do both. You might want to do a high bar to focus a bit more on the quads, and one day you might want to focus on putting it a bit lower on your back. You don't have to give it a title. Next up, we have leg curl, and a lot like the leg extension machine, it's going to be a fixed position. So you're, again, going to need the machine, but this is a really good way to focus just on the hamstring. So hamstring curls, leg curls, same thing. It's the biceps of your legs. So again, 3 sets of 12 to 15. Should have put a plus there because you can do more. I would just caution you that whenever you're doing these, just remember what's afterwards. So theoretically, you could put these last just because there's such an isolation movement, but that's kind of feel it out, pick and choose as you see, because the rest that fall after the barbell movement are going to be accessories. So you can pick and choose where you would like to put this one, but if you have something after the leg curls, I would just remember you do have stuff afterwards as well to do. So feel it out. Get yourself a really good hamstring pump and save some gas for the rest of the workouts. Next up, we're going to have lunges and isolated calf raises. Now, lunges are a really good way to target your quad and your glutes. Again, they hit pretty much every aspect of your leg. Really good for posterior chain muscle group, and very good opportunity as kind of a finisher. I would start with no weights. One thing that I debated on doing is putting reverse lunges. This is a really good way to teach you the correct way of doing lunges by putting the pressure through your hips and not through your knee. I actually made a YouTube video pretty recently, a YouTube short on how to do Bulgarian split squats on a leg extension machine, just so that you can focus on putting the pressure through your hips instead of your knee. Now, there's nothing wrong with knee going over toe. Nothing wrong with that at all. And there's a lot of proof. There's a lot of people, a lot of influencers that back that and have proven that it can even help with knee function. But in this case, what I would like is for you to focus on doing the proper form of the lunges by going through your hips. That's the way that it should be done. Isolated calf raises. The reason why I selected the isolated calf raises is because while you're trying to hit your calves, which for people who weren't blessed with great calf genetics, this is a very good exercise to do. It is another opportunity to focus on an isolated muscle group. So isolated calf raises, when you're doing them, you're going to realize they're awful. You could feel it a lot. A lot of people say, I feel it in my Achilles. I feel it in my ankle. Well, that's a good sign that you have some pretty poor ankle mobility. So not only are you hitting your calves hard on this movement, but also you're improving ankle mobility, stability, and strength, which can even help your knees, your hips, etc. Again, when you work out, you need to understand you're not just doing this for the muscles, you're doing this for overall well-being as well. So you get a bonus of having strong, good-looking calves, but also strong and robust ankles as well. And then last, onto core, 6-inch leg hold. Now, this is a kind of another variation of a plank as far as the way that it targets your core. It's another static movement. It's a great way to target your core. And again, once your core is developed and stronger, not only is it going to help your spine and just overall body composition, but you'd be surprised how this carries over into every other lift as well. Especially for those who are interested in doing deadlifts. If you start now as a beginner, then you won't have to wait until you start deadlifting to then do core and realize that your lower back is in pretty bad shape. So 6-inch leg hold, you're going to lay on the ground, put your ankles together, knees together, and then barely have them off the ground. I'm telling you, this is a lot harder than it sounds. But again, set that baseline, 3 sets of 20 seconds. You're more than welcome to do 3 sets of 30 seconds, but just make it realistic, make it attainable, and then push each week. But aim to increase 5 pounds per week after the block. The reason why I have it like this is because a lot of people get greedy, especially as beginners. I don't know of a single guy who doesn't focus occasionally on the E word, ego, right? We don't want that to be part of this process. It's okay to strike your ego a little bit, right? It's okay to be competitive, but if you start off the wrong way, that is going to carry over into the rest of your mindset and how you work out. Again, nothing wrong with being competitive, but it's a good thing in this 4-week block to take it slow. Practice on those weights that are already set by yourself. If in the first week it was too light, you should have already fixed that as you were doing the movement, right? Take notes. Make sure that you're tracking your progress. Take videos, take pictures even. Just make sure that you're staying organized in this particular block and any block that you do, so that ego is not part of the picture, but focus is. Those goals are. You don't want to be led astray from the goals that you set yourself. because in every single mile marker of your beginning workout, goal and story, you are going to look to other people. You're going to look to see what the experts are doing. All of that's well and good. But as a person, not to sound corny, but who are you in the gym? Who are you trying to become? These are all really important questions to ask yourself when beginning your workouts as a novice. So, aim to increase 5 pounds per week. You can even do more if you're feeling up to it, but do it after the block. Really try and focus and master those movements. You're obviously not going to master any of these in 4 weeks, but that being said, you can at least be consistent in the movements that are given. Guys, that's really all that there is. There's obviously a lot of workouts out there, but I'm not trying to overcomplicate things, not trying to make things flashy. We just want to give you somewhat of a plan when you step foot in the gym. If you happen to be in the area, Ramsland Fitness is located in DeLand, Florida. We would love to meet you and schedule a first free consultation. If you're not in the area and you're looking for high caliber accountability training, we also train online. So let's schedule a call. Go to ramslandfitness.com and let's see if we can help you move in the right direction. Remember, move better, move stronger, live longer. Thanks, guys.